Welcome, welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series. Been a long break, but we're finally back. I am joined by Fireteam as a co-caster. Fireteam, how you doing?
Oh, Scrim's starting about an hour and 20 minutes, and I got nothing better to do, so I guess I decided to cast some NGS games, so pretty excited to do it.
It's gonna be fun. So this is the first game of Season 3. Some new features in Nexus Gaming Series that I'm sure we'll talk about soon, but as we jump here into map number 1, this matchup, I should say, is between the reigning Division C champions, Durotan's Couch, and Game of Throws. This is in the eastern bracket of Division B. Bracket, probably not the right word. It's a round robin season within the division. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and Braxis Holdout is actually a map that was changed actually quite a bit in the off season between NGS seasons 2 and 3. In NGS season 2 and in the pro scene, what we saw a lot of times is teams moving into a 4-1 rotation with the solo laner top and a 4-man bottom. But since we last saw that, we actually see teams nowadays moving into a 3-1-1 with a tri-lane bottom, a solid tri-lane bottom with the solo laner top, and usually a roamer like a Genji, for example, that was banned here by Durotan's Couch, or you see something like a Muradin or something like that that can hop over the walls very quickly and be used as a pseudo global. So that's a very interesting and very heads up ban here by Durotan's Couch.
Yeah, and I should note, of course, that Chromie actually started to feature quite a bit on this map because of her ability to defend a push. Although now wave clear can be pretty important, and we are seeing that first Sonya pick. So we're still trying to figure out where this new meta is, but, Sonya brings self-sustain, brings wave clear, brings a tanky body. Great first pick.
Yeah. And the thing is Sony really wins about every solo lane out there, except for probably about Mathael, and the Mathael is still a skill matchup for sure. And beats Leoric, beats maybe the Artanis if these teams choose to move into something like that. But for sure, it's definitely a really good pick here to start things out.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where these next two picks go. We are seeing the Greymane Gul'dan. I love the Gul'dan pick on this map. I think this certainly ranks up there with his top maps here in Tomb of the Spider Queen. And he pairs with... This map tends to be a lot more sustainy, and so Gul'dan works there. Greymane is a great kind of rotator, that second one position that you talked about.
Yeah. And the only thing is also camps as well. Obviously, now a huge part of the meta. Getting those camps out. And Sonya and Greymane both highly prioritized by these teams to get those camps out. But something we'd like to note here by Game of Throws is the double range DPS picks here. It kind of leaves them in a little bit of a chokehold on themselves as they have not picked a tank or support. And now Durotan's Couch has their solo lane already figured out. They can now move into a tank and support, and even ban out Game of Thrones from one of their better tanks and supports. So that's something to keep in mind here is that, as well as Game of Throws, they do have, those...
Oh, dear. And so we just had our first DC of the season. Bear with us as we get this one figured out. Rip the no DC dream. We'll get this one figured out. That was Muradin Kel'Thuzad, so our picks at the time were Sonya, Muradin Kel'Thuzad on the left with a Genji ban, and on the right, Greymane Gul'dan with a Chromie ban. So we'll try to keep that in mind, and
yeah, hopefully we can get this figured out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Bear with us at the moment, but this one. One sec, I'm just figuring out what's going on. So as I figure out that, I guess what we can talk about first is these two teams. So, I've had a chance to cast Durotan's Couch more than a few times. In fact, I've had a chance to play an earlier iteration of the team, previously known as Jimmy's Got a Gun, way back in Season 1. This team is been around the scene for a while. In fact, there's a lot of veterans between these two rosters. As we as now apparently we're having some audio issues as well, so we'll try to work through all these technical bugs. But we are getting Ragnarok, who DC'd back in. Game of Thrones, on the other hand, a lot of NGS veterans, but have not been on the same team. So, like, 3 members of the team previously were on Regen at the start of last season. They kind of split off from Regen. And then, I'm just doing it as a quick ready check. 2 members, including the sub Kaiser, who is not playing tonight, came from Insomniacs, which was the semifinal team last time around. As I once again insist on a ready check, and hopefully people won't ignore me this time. But then Zunicorn's actually a new player, and I've had a chance to actually play with him, and he's a great guy. So anyway, we're getting back into the draft. We will start this back up.
We had to Genji ban, then just trying to recall everything. Genji ban, Chromie ban, and then Sonya pick, and then Greymane Gul'dan pick, and then we had Mura KT pick.
So hopefully we don't have sound issues, but so far both teams doing the same thing a bit. So as we get this back in, what did you see from that going into that?
Yeah, and we saw the Muradin KT locked in there at the last second, so that's going to be a heavy stun comp there with the Muradin and the Kel'Thuzad providing tons of CC between the two. You know, Kel'Thuzad with 2 of his abilities actually CCing enemy heroes, and Muradin having 2 as well, possibly, is maybe 3. So a lot of CC already. And the Gul'dan does not like being CC'd. You know, it gets him out of his W, that being the life drain, and also just makes his life not very good. And Greymane as well. You know, he kind of wants to dive in and get that damage in. And if he's, being CC'd, not really what you want to happen.
So as we head now to the second phase, one thing I should note is Durotan's Couch was actually down 2 games and losing. Map number 3 in the Division C finals to All for Waifu, who's another now Division B East team. And Durotan's A-Fish's Kel'Thuzad play really did a lot to turn that series around. They managed to come back with A-Fish on Nazebo on Tomb using that post-20 power spike, which is, even with the nerf, still the biggest power spike in the game by far.
Yeah.
But then his Kel'Thuzad on map 4, it wasn't even close, and his Kel'Thuzad really did a lot to win map number 5. So going with some comfort picks here, and I like that decision. I like seeing A-Fish there.
Actually, I really like this ban here from Game of Thrones, and the reason why is because Lucio is almost unpickable for them. As we talked about earlier, they have a ton of CC on the side of Durotan's Couch, and you just don't want to play Lucio into that. Lucio is going to be a main kill target, and additionally, his healing does nothing for CC targets. And so they know they can't pick it, and Lucio being the strongest healer in the game, they know to ban him out, and they're going to get another healer that maybe deals with it a little bit better. We'll probably see something like a Uther, or maybe like a Rhaegar or a Karazim. They need that burst healing to get through this just amazing amount of CC from Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, I think it's a good ban, and then an ETC ban. I mean, now you've locked down, one of the classic tanks, and I still expect ETC to be incredibly prevalent, even with all the meta changes we've seen.
Oh yeah.
We'll see where that goes.
And also, again, as we talked about, the double DPS first picks, they didn't get their tank, they didn't get their support. So now they're locked out of the best tank in the game because of that. And now they're kind of forced to this kind of third tier support with the Morales. And you probably want to see a little bit better support, but they just could not lock it in.
Yeah. Well, I think Morales can be very good with the Gul'dan on this map specifically, but the burst damage potential of Sonya Kel'Thuzad, it does make it a bit risky. Yes, you have Safeguard, and there is a talent that removes Safeguard slows and stuns, but not roots. And that's really where Kel'Thuzad can get you. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think it's actually because of the map it can be good,
Oh yeah,
but it's risky.
definitely better
Because
success
there's
map though. Definitely.
yeah. One, you could see something come out here like a Valera, or potentially who could get onto that backline. I think it would leave Kel'Thuzad as the only ranged into a Gul'dan, but we're going to see the Rhaegar
And that's
and the
interesting,
Vala.
actually. The Rhaegar pick's a little interesting here, just because the Stukov is up, and the Stukov is actually considered by most supports right now a stronger pick. And additionally, it actually is a better matchup into the Gul'dan. Of course, Gul'dan being the most of the damage, and the Greymane as well with that cocktail. So you have double poke heroes in the enemy team. Rhaegar doesn't really heal that very well. Rhaegar
Hmm.
nowadays, he's kind of more relegated to keeping the assassins alive as they burst down enemy targets. He actually functions more like Uther nowadays than he does, for example, like Karazim or Stukov with that more sustained healing. Additionally, we see that Vala. So I really like the Vala pick here, though. Going to put a ton of pressure into the Nubrak and just
Hmm.
make his life impossible, even with that Morales.
Yeah, I think right now this draft does the Rhaegar is a bit of a more interesting pick because he's so bursty, and this map tends to involve longer engages. So
Absolutely.
I completely agree that I in general I would say Stukov's a better pick. What I will say is I sold played Rhaegar in all 5 games in the Division C championship, and I would say he never cost him a game. But there's the Malthael, so trying to take advantage of the double warrior, as well as an incredibly strong solo laner. So there's your draft. What do you
And that
think?
and there's the soul lane I talked about. Just Mathael really able to compete with that Sonya, and so now they're pulling it out. It was not banned here by Durotan's Couch. That was definitely an option for them. They opted to go for the UTC ban, which is definitely a very fair ban. Being the best tank in the game is usually a good ban. Uh, but yeah, so the soul lane's going to be kind of a weird one. It's going to be
Mhm.
a skilled matchup. The bottom lane, I'm liking the side of Game of Thrones, though. Honestly, the double poke comp into the Rhaegar with this Morales sustain heals. Really, the question is the Morales, can she stay safe even with only a Nubrak just to peel for, and he can't
Mhm.
really peel very well. So keep that in mind.
One thing I will say is if I were just picking this game on the names I'm looking at, I would pick Game of Thrones pretty much every time. But we'll see. We'll see if we get kind of a surprising showing here. This is the first match in Division B for Durotan's Couch, but we will jump right into this game as I take the opportunity to introduce your new Division B East teams. The first, Durotan's Couch, going to be Big Egg Roll on the Muradin, Wildcard on Vala, Afish, going to be on that playmaking Kel'Thuzad, Solon on Rhaegar, Sonya, going to be played by Captain Wedge. Do you want to go ahead and introduce Game of Thrones for me, starting at the bottom?
Yeah. So we're gonna have Ragnarok there on the medic, Crazy Ivan there on Greymane, Zulkin on the Gul'dan, Templar on the Anubrak, and up top lane, Zunicorn, hopefully the newbie here on the team, trying to show himself and get the win here in the top lane. Again, skill-based matchup is really what the key terms here are until level 4, where he may opt to go for Die Alone, which really throws this matchup in his favor.
And I apologize as we are having some OBS issues. I thought I had corrected this, but the first game of the season, whenever we're gonna have technical issues, we will definitely get that fixed. For the second game, I will do my best to adjust here on the fly, as we did see Gul'dan take the E quest.
Yep, for sure. And I definitely like it here with being so backline heavy, especially in the early parts of the game. You only have that Murden out front. The Rhaegar's not really taking any damage, and the Kel'Thuzad neither. So it's going to be really hard to hit anything other than his E. So I really do appreciate him going for the E quest. I think it's definitely the right choice here. And also keeps him safer, as we saw the first Ragnarok or Kel'Thuzad chain come out there onto Ragnarok, and that's going to be really scary once he gets that 30 blight.
And already Zunicorn making it very uncomfortable for Sonya up in this top lane. Captain Wedge taking some disadvantageous trades. This has been an issue for Captain Wedge, is sometimes he can get a little bit too overextended. Oh, great combo by Zul'Kan onto Afish. Has the entirety of Durotan's Couch pretty low on health, and some taps being blown to try to stay in it. But Rhaegar just not able to keep up with just all this AoE damage.
Yeah, and that's the thing, as I talked about in draft. Just Rhaegar is just not very strong in this map. One of his worst maps for sure. And you're seeing it right now. He's healing constantly. That Q is coming off cooldown. He's losing mana. He's already down to half. He's already he has not used his tap, but he's just burning through mana, not getting much out of it either. Unlike Morales with that no mana sustained healing, she's just using that energy bar of hers and getting it back through the grenade build. And it's just gonna be very hard for them to out trade this meta comp.
And then this is a big learning experience for Afish. The enemy team is doing such a good job of dodging his skill shots, and that's the level of competition that he needs to adjust to. But already a 100% Zerg wave, and we're actually seeing a full lane switch. Sonya going to be the lone defender while 4 members go up top, but Sonya's so low, there's no way she can actually defend right now, and she's going to go down to an Anubarak diving over the wall, and if there were 2 cannons there, maybe Templar would have thought twice. But that is no longer the case.
And also not to mention Anubarak, of course, one of the best diving tanks in the game, spawning those beetles with every ability he does and just eating those free tower shots for him. And especially with that tower remove, there's about 33% or 25% less shots going out. So those beetles are surviving longer. It's allowing him to get that dive in, and Sonya going down.
And already, bottom fort going down, top fort wall is very low. We are seeing Afish come down to help defend, but already nearly a 2-level advantage here. Ooh. And that's just gonna not go over well on this, the most snowbally map in the game at the moment. Besides maybe BOE. It's very close.
I'd say this one's definitely more snowbally, just because the lanes are so close together. It's very hard for you to soak. Unlike on BOE, which the lanes are actually really far away from the action, where you're able to get that soak. Like, see, now we're seeing the members of Durotan's Couch being rotated on because of that said very short lane rotation. They're not able to get soaked. They're just trying to soak, get the experience, and try to get back in this game, but they're just unable to. Rhaegar, out of mana, just, ooh.
Yeah, and Sonya actually rotating up to help with this defense, but that means they're losing even more soak on bottom. Now they've closed the level gap to 1.5, but that's hardly comforting, I would imagine.
Now level 7 talent advantage. You don't really hear about talent advantages pre-10. You usually hear 13 talent advantage, 16 talent advantage. They're still just as a thing at level 7. Now we see the talent advantage here for Game of Thrones. They could definitely push into this fort. They have the Morales, they have the Gul'dan, they have the Anubarak to eat the tower shots. They could definitely go for some aggressive plays here, and I want to see them go for it.
Yeah, and a lot of poke actually coming out from Zul'Kan, just doing so much damage. As we take a look at the stats, Gul'dan pretty much doubling up everyone else in the game at the moment. Not entirely doubling them up, but near enough as makes no difference. And taking a look at the stat quest, already halfway done with it, as we see an engagement here. Engagement coming into the fort. They do have fire bats. It's lowering that armor, and the fort is going to get absolutely chunked. Zul'Kan getting turned on there by Muradin. Root once again misses. Needs to try to time that combo, I think, Kel'Thuzad, with some kind of CC from Muradin. But the poke damage is just so real, and Ragnarok is just countering every bit of damage Wildcard can put out with her own heals. There's the combo, but once again, the Root just a little bit off key, and now Afish is the target, and Afish gonna go down. That's only the second kill of the game, but you wouldn't think it with how one-sided this has gone so far.
Absolutely. Just the comps not favoring Durotan's Couch. And Kel'Thuzad, let's talk about his quest real quick. So Kel'Thuzad, you really be looking at that kind of level 8, level 9 kind of stacking, and he's only at 19 stacks. So we're looking about level 10 is kind of what we're looking at. Level 10, level 11. It's a little bit behind for sure. So just kind of everything going wrong here for Durotan's Couch. Stacking Lane and Kel'Thuzad, losing both their forts, being down 2 levels. Like, it's not even like the Kel'Thuzad can come back this Zerg wave, right? They need to wait till the next Zerg wave for Kel'Thuzad to be a real hero. So there's still kind of 4.5 v5, even if they're on the same talent tier finally.
Yeah, and Durotan's Couch clearing the waves during the phase just because of all the camp pressure. Now they're at least going to neutralize top, but already 80%. Even just an 80% Zerg wave against a keep is going to do not fun things to your keep if you don't defend it. And so it's just delaying how quickly Durotan's couch is going to be able to get 10, and now they pretty much have to fight and win a fight right now, but Sonya's not with them. This is a 4v5 engagement, and I don't know if the whole team is there. Muradin doing everything he can to hold this point. Solon in a very aggressive position, but they're still holding for the time being. There's the first root. It's going to land on the Templar. Big Egg Roll, though, is just getting chunked. He's going to drop to the poison damage before his second win can kick in. Sonya is going to be the next to drop, and this is just falling apart. During this whole time, Camp's pushing. They're now going to take Keep Wall, and there's going to be a full Zerg wave, and at most, one cannon and one tower to defend it.
Yeah, and that's just going to be, again, the compositional difference between these two teams, and they opted to go for the 4-1. So that's the thing, right? So that's the counter to this kind of comp. Like, they used to be before, hey...
And the medevac!
Yeah, right to the bottom keep, and they're up 10. But the thing is just... They fought 4v4 against a comp that can't fight against this 4-man, and it's showing right now. Up 2 levels. Keep with the Zerg wave and the boss top lane. The fear. Missing... You're going to put Solon in a little bit of a weird spot, but nothing too much. Not really what you see.
Yeah, haven't gotten the values of the ultimate yet. Now, we still have Tormented Souls, we still have Cocoon, we still have Cursed Bullet, so keep an eye out for those. As the keep goes down, this Zerg wave is incredibly healthy. Keep in mind, there is a boss in the top lane due to great awareness, but here comes a big root, 3 people hit. Not the follow-up damage they needed. Wildcard, very low. Gonna have to run into base to dodge that Bruiser can't mine. There has to be a Hearth there from Captain Wedge who gets caught out, and the attention is onto the core. Zunicorn is very low. Muradin getting the cleanse to try to get in on the Zunicorn, but loses that trade badly. There comes the big root. They landed onto the Morales. Are they going to be able to get the kill? They do. Morales is down. Methyl is down, but it's not enough. The core is down to 5. The core is down to 0. And the win.
Yeah, can we talk about priority real quick? So the thing is that something you have to recognize whenever you're defending your core is the priority of the heroes that you need to kill that are on your core. The first target that they went on was Mothiel. Mothiel does some of the least amount of siege damage to structures in the entire game. His auto attack affects it, and that is it. He doesn't get his trait, and therefore he doesn't get his Q, his W doesn't do anything to him, and his E doesn't do anything to him. So they went for the Mothiel. I think if they went for the Morales a bit earlier, they actually maybe could have defended that core attempt. But nonetheless, a really good game there by Game of Throws, recognizing their comp strengths, recognizing that their 4-man is very strong, and just running with it and running with the game just 8 minutes in.
Yeah, and very dominant performance, kind of the direction I wanted to go. This is something that Durotan's couch is aware of, and I talked to them before the series started, and this was not something that they thought was in any way a secret. They knew that they were going to be facing an uphill battle. Originally, when the divisions were first laid out, they were actually going to be in Division C, but just due to some movement around, some player changes, one team dropping, they kind of got the luck of being bumped up into Division B, and they knew that they were going to face this, but hopefully, we'll see them come back stronger here in the second game. But we're going to take a brief break while we get the second game set up, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the first game before draft starts. Be right.
Yeah, you change your observer.
Oh, and we're back. Here on the Nexus Gaming series. Just had to fix a couple things, namely change some settings there. As you saw, the observer panel in the next game was wrong, but we're actually going to jump straight into the draft here. Here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. But so how do you adjust in draft here if you are Jimmy's Got a Couch, aka Durotan's couch?
It's all about wave clear on this map. So the previous map, it's about poke and sustain healing. This map, you got to know your win conditions in every map. Usually Braxis is really trade heavy. Usually you're 4-man versus 4-man. You're just kind of dueling it out like gladiators in the bot lane. But this map, it's not really about trading. It's about wave clearing and just out rotating your opponent. If your opponent has a ton of kill pressure, but you're able just to out wave clear them so much that you can just out rotate them anyway, then you're able just to kind of waltz past them. They're Diablo, Kerrigan, and stuff, ready to kill you, and you're over there with your, Gul'dan, which should be really poor matchup for the Gul'dan, but you're clearing these waves so fast, they'd be missing so much soak, and that's the way to win this map if you don't have the kill pressure. Or additionally, you can go for a kill pressure comp, Diablo, Kerrigan, that kind of thing. It's kind of hard to pull off because, you don't have the wave clear to, really catch up to a team that's ahead of you in wave clear. But if you get a bunch of kills, in theory, you should be able to win.
Yeah, and I think they have... I really like Afish's Kel'Thuzad. I think it was a little bit off in the last game, and he started to kind of hit those combos later in the game when it was already lost. I think if they had a tank with maybe a bit easier to hit CC, something like an ETC or even a Joanna, rather than Muradin, I think that could benefit.
Yeah.
Kind of try to make it easier for Afish to execute his role.
Yeah, and the only thing about Kel'Thuzad on this map is that you're rotating so often, it's really hard for you to get those picks unless you specifically go out of your way to get those. And the thing is about that is if you're kind of get picks, that usually means you've already out wave cleared your opponent, and therefore you need to have wave clear in your team because Kel'Thuzad not really bringing too much wave clear to the table, just his Q really, and it's still not even that good.
Well, I think they could pair that with a good wave clear hero. I mean, especially if they had a Joanna, I think it would help out a bit. It's something that they can do. It's also Nazebo is a common pick for them on this map, although with the current state of the meta, it can be a bit harder to get the 20 than it used to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll see. Greymane once again a top priority.
I just would like to see them draft a little bit more for the map. They kind of drafted what seemed, as you said last draft, comfort picks. Comfort picks do work, but you have to recognize when your comfort picks are strong and when your comfort picks are not as strong. And it looks like the Rhaegar ETC is a decent pairing in this map. ETC, of course, best tank in the game. Rhaegar, just solid support. Again, I'd like to see a little bit different prioritization, maybe the Lucio, which we saw here for Game of Thrones. Again, that being the best support in the game right now. But...
And it seems like every time I cast this team, Soln is going to be playing that Rhaegar. This is now the 7th straight game that I've casted where he will be playing the Rhaegar. And so it is definitely a comfort factor. I do agree with you that, like, especially, I mean, Lucio ETC is incredibly strong, the engage potential that it gives. Rhaegar, this is a better map for him.
Definitely.
By far, just because it's not always about just sustain. But, we'll see. We'll see as the season progresses, kind of where those draft picks go. But focusing now on this game, the Sonya pick, very strong. What do you ban here? 4 seconds to guess?
I don't know. The thing is, they pick their Rhaegar so early, it kind of leaves me a little bit of a I just don't know. Because the Rhaegar, I just don't feel like, as I said, I just think there's better picks in the support role, let alone other roles. The Sonya is available, the Mothdeal is available. You had ranged DPS like the Gul'dan, which is going to be really high priority for these two teams. There's going to be a lot of things here that are very important to pick up. And, we don't see them picked up in favor of the Rhaegar. So I'll need to see this Rhaegar do a lot more work than it did last game. Because if they're going to first pick their Rhaegar, and it meta that Rhaegar is not that strong, it needs to be doing more work than the meta pick would in that same position. Nonetheless, they banned the Diablo, which is that kind of counteract to ETC. They're both heavy engaged tanks. Muradin, yeah, he does have decent engage with the jump stun, but it's not really nearly as good as, for example, Diablo charging you while stunning you, flipping into an APOC, as your whole team's there. But the two engaged tanks are out. And the thing is that the Lucio actually provides, as you said, really good engages. Not only the speed, but the fact that you can full shield your team as you go in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so strong. They get the last second onto the Mothiel, just again banning out that solo lane. I really appreciate the Mothiel ban. A lot of people would say, "Hey, we have Lucio. We don't need to ban the Mothiel." I still think it's a great ban. Because of course, I mean that shielding goes somewhere, right? If it
Right.
goes to Mothiel, sure, but if it also goes to the Rhaegar doing damage or the ETC doing damage or whatever DPS picks they pick here instead of the Mothiel, that's usually a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's. I like that ban a lot, especially because you have the Sonya, so you know you're gonna have two warriors. I mean, although you could always go into something like a new Barak to counter it, as well as something lower HP, not feed him as much healing. But let's see. So now this is where we're gonna see. Are they gonna kind of go with the same comfort picks? Are we gonna see something like Afish grabbing the Nazebo or grabbing the Kel'Thuzad, something stacking here? That's a place where he can be comfortable. We maybe see something a bit more traditional, like a Vala, and then maybe a comp built to support that. We'll find out. It's gonna be Arthas and Kel'Thas. So I expect Captain Wedge to be playing the Arthas here, and then I would guess Afish would be on Kel'Thas. He tends to play the mages. What are your thoughts on those two picks?
So the Arthas being picked here, they already show what kind of comp they're playing. You know they're going to play double tank, double ranged, guaranteed, unless they want to lose. Like it's just kind of one of those things. So now they know their solo lane's going to win. They know the Sonya's going to beat the Arthas in the solo lane, and they know they have a Kel'Thas top. They know their last pick is going to be some sort of ranged auto attacker, so it's going to be something like the Tychus, maybe something like Lunara, a Vala, something like that. So you know exactly what you're up against. So now on the side of Game of Thrones, they can draft exactly what they need to draft. They know that Arthas ETC double full tank is going to be the option. I kind of want to see a Tychus here, and I want to see maybe the Nubrak. I don't really like the Nubrak that much here. Maybe move into the Johanna instead. They don't really need to engage as they have two tanks in the enemy team. You can't really engage into them anyway. I'm gonna move into the Nubrak anyway, but there's that insane wave clear that I talked about. Junkrat, best wave clear in the game. And it's being picked right here with the Greymane, which Greymane is the best wave clear ranged assassin in the game that's currently meta. Technically, like Kel'Thas is slightly better or whatever, but he's not very meta. So you have two great wave clears. They have Lucio to speed boost them in between lanes. I think it's a great comp. I really like Game of Thrones comp here.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly at a play level, they don't really have anything to prove, but it's still a very strong comp, and it's going to allow them to, I think, play aggressively, and it's now up to Durotan's couch to find a way to deal with that, because they kind of caved in the face of all that pressure. They started making decisions that involved missing a lot of soak bottom. They just kind of got completely pushed away from their camps and were too afraid to engage into them. We're going to see if they can respond, and what's their last pick that hopefully lets them do that? Tracer?
Tracer. That is interesting. It is really well matched up into the Lucio Junkrat, not the Greymane, not the Sonya, and not the Nubrak, though. So keep that in mind. There's two picks, yeah, sure, maybe the Junkrat, maybe Lucio. But the rest of the team is actually really scary to play against this Tracer. The Sonya lands one spear on you, you're going to be half dead right there. The Nubrak, locks you down maybe. I don't know. This is going to be a really, really weird matchup here for Tracer.
Yep, and gonna be an interesting draft. We will, as I switch to the wrong frame briefly, we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, it seems like it's a lot harder to execute consistently what Durotan's couch wants to do, because a lot of it's going to have to be keyed off by Arthas and ETC engaging at the right time and not overextending, and then having Tracer land that reasonably difficult to hit skill shot to secure kills, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because they have the double full tank already taking a bunch of room in the front, so there's nothing really Tracer to stand at. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but here we are. Now we have the correct overlay, so you're welcome. As I will introduce once again Durotan's couch, we're going to have Captain Wedge on Arthas, Big Egg Roll on ETC, Soln, shockingly enough, on Rhaegar. We're going to have Wildcard, actually, on Kel'Thas, and Afish going to be on the Tracer. He's made some good plays on that hero in the past. Go ahead and introduce, starting in the middle.
We got Templart there onto the Nubrak. We got Junkrat, played by, I can't see anything actually, Zulkin. We got Crazy Ivan there on the Greymane Ragnarok there on Lucio, and Stunya, played by Zunicorn. As you said, I really like Game of Throws comp here. It makes sense. High wave clear, decent damage all around, really straightforward. The side of Durotan's couch, I'm not like sitting here like, this is like, has a really straightforward, winning condition. I'm kind of thinking it's kind of all over the place, has a lot of different elements that are kind of there. I understand where they're kind of going, but in the end, the comp kind of lacks a general idea, and I'd like to see them maybe focus a little bit more on that.
And we already see Sonya down getting a lead in that lane, and it's going to be up to Durotans to rotate at the right time to just keep the Sonya honest. But right now, they're already rotating top, and Sonya just continuing to build that lead. Early lead in the bot lane, and and this is something I like. What we're seeing with Zunicorn is kind of freezing the lane and denying easy soak even by just positioning very aggressively and saying, "Look, I can outtrade you. I have Sonya."
Yeah, and the thing is with the wave clear advantage being heavily on the side of Game of Throws, it's gonna be hard for them to rotate down to assist that Arthas. It's gonna be a lot easier, in fact, for the side of Game of Throws to assist them instead of Durotan's couch. I think I misspoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nonetheless, the Arthas is, just to clarify, Arthas is going to have a hard time receiving that help, and then the Sonya is going to have an easier time than that Arthas.
Yeah. Well, we could see, and actually here comes a sneaky little Tracer, maybe? Well, it looks like Tracer's going to stay with the 4-man rotation. Not going for the gank just yet. Zunicorn, I think, sniffed maybe a gank was coming. Very good lane awareness to back up, worried about the Tracer, but once he sees the Tracer, he'll step right back up and play aggressive.
So this is kind of weird. They're not sticking in their 4-man, the side of Game of Throws, which I think that's where they're the strongest. Templar's now split.
Here comes Tracer. Does she have the Pulse Bomb? She does. She gets it off onto Zunicorn. Zunicorn taking a lot of damage. Zunicorn going to turn around and get the trade onto Arthas. Great job there by Sonya, at least getting value out of the trade. It was a good gank, though, by Afish.
They get the gems off for them. That's the most important part. As Arthas got his gems picked right back up by Afish, but the side of Sonya not really getting those gems back for Game of Throws.
Yeah, and this is a chance, though, to kind of equalize the lane pressure here for Durotan's couch, although obviously Tracer is going to get out-cleared by Greymane in the intermediate time it takes Arthas to walk back down.
So there's a couple things that's weird here. So Game of Throws, we talked about the draft and how it's very straightforward. Stay in the 4-man, wave clear, rotate. Very straightforward. However, they're not rotating as a 4-man. Obviously, the Greymane had to go bottom to catch a soak. But now they're kind of splitting in between the two lanes. Additionally, they're going top instead of mid for the wave. And so they're not kind of sticking together, and they're not using their superior wave clear. Instead, they're kind of playing to the strengths of Durotan's couch, which I think that's the reason why they're actually a little bit down in experience right now, is because they're kind of playing differently than your comp. See, we have 2 members top, 2 members mid, not taking advantage of that wave clear that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and just a couple of notes. I want to take a second to apologize to Game of Throws, as actually Arthas is currently using a banned mount. And that was something I should have mentioned when I saw that Arthas skin. That Arthas skin is allowed, but the mount is banned. So I apologize for not bringing that up. I think overall it shouldn't affect the game, but I just wanted to let that be known.
Yeah, and that's definitely something to look out for in your games. I used to use that Druid of the Flame Malfurion, but I permanently use not Druid of the Flame Malfurion now, just because I don't want to load into an HEC open game with a banned skin.
Yeah. With that, we are seeing Templar dropping 16 gems there, a healthy number, and actually both teams with a turn-in. Despite the loss of gems early by Sonya, there's still a gem advantage on the side of Game of Thrones, as Afish going to get interrupted here by Templar dropping the little Q. Overall, so far, both teams kind of looking for a turn-in, but not really selling out for one. Captain Wedge managing to drop another 12 into the first spider bank of Tombland, whatever the hell this place is called. That one got away from me.
So now, see, look at this. Game of Throws, even though they have the better wave clear, they dumpstered the entire wave top. The entire wave went unsoaked. And now they're letting the turn-in come in here for Durotan's couch. Again, it's just, I believe, a gameplay issue, not a draft issue. Again, we're not seeing them stick to their win conditions outlined for them in draft.
And that was, I do want to point out something Afish there. He kept channeling from exactly the same spot into Junkrat, not moving until at that point there was more support. If Afish backed up a bit, ETC could go out and zone more if Afish were maybe turning in on the left. But all of that kind of time wasted gives a turn-in over to Game of Throws. They're going to get the first turn-in. They shouldn't be able to pick up 10 here right away, but it's certainly a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, the first Web Weaver wave is so much different than it was previously, as the first Web Weaver now can easily melt the towers in every lane, as before it kind of took a little bit of an advantage to do that. So now since it melts the front towers, if you get 3 front towers, or 6 front towers, you're easily getting level 10 off that first Web Weaver wave, which is much different than it was previously. That's the reason this map is a little snowbally. Big egg roll though, getting caught out there, the boop there by Lucio. I think securing the deal, and yeah, that will be it. Good boop there by Ragnarok, securing that ETC kill. Not an easy one to kill for sure, especially not having that much on-point damage with the Junkrat in your 4-man.
And I think that was just a mistake of thinking there was too much engage potential with the Kel'Thas. There was an aggressive power slide there outside of the cannon range, and it just put Big Egg Roll in a bit of a bad spot. So it's another learning experience for Durotan's couch. 2 forts now down to this wave, and that's not a good start.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe, again, I think Game of Thrones, they stuck to their game plan. They actually would be more ahead. And so Durotan's couch, what is their win condition, right? So we see the Tracer, we see the Kel'Thas with a good, he has pretty good wave clear in his own. So maybe we should see, instead of them staying in this 4-man, is maybe move the Tracer bottom. Try to get more picks. We only saw that 1 pick earlier and traded in a 1-for-1. Maybe I want to see some more picks there with the Tracer. She's really good at ganking, especially that pulse bomb up. And we didn't really see too many Tracer ganks, so maybe move into that a little bit more. Maybe try to use the Kel'Thas. Again, you have that really sick stun chain between the Arthas, the ETC, and the Kel'Thas, and maybe in the Rhaegar slow totem. We didn't really see that CC chain too often onto enemy targets like the Junkrat or the Lucio. But you just need to make sure that, again, you're executing your win condition, whatever it may be.
And Afish sneaking a turn in there in the meanwhile, while the Bruiser camp was stolen. Not pushing up with it, just more of a denial move. It's a good denial move too, because that means you don't have that spell armor potentially with the Web Weaver phase. Abusing those 10s. 10's now being picked up. I should note the heroics on the right side. We got Cocoon, we have Riptire, we have Sound Barrier, Curse Bullet, and Wrath of Berserker. Nothing too surprising. We do have Ancestral, Phoenix, Quantum Spike. Still waiting to see what ETC and Arthas pick. Can be some interesting variability there.
I kind of like go for the throat here, a little bit more here for Greymane. And the reason why is because they don't really have any people to counter the Tracer directly other than him. The Junkrat doesn't really do too much. The Sonya has to land that hard-to-hit spear. And other than that, the Greymane is the only on-point damage. Having the Cursed Bullet is impossible to hit a Tracer with. But,
and a good root here, actually trying to lock Templar out, but he's going to be able to get away. Captain Wedge trying to land a root on some of those squishy backliners, maybe set up ETC, who has still not picked a 10. And this is a 5v4 situation with Greymane clearing out the bottom, so this is a chance to try to make something happen. ETC still has not picked an ult, though. And, Wildcard was a little bit late leaving town.
And also, he lost his level 1 talent, just like that.
Yes, he did. Now, Tracer in the Cocoon, going to be able to get away. The Cocoon was just there to make sure there was no saving Wildcard. And there wasn't. Now, Soln is in an aggressive rotation, but this is going to be another turn-in over for Game of Throws. And this is, with mid lane already pushed out, this is going to be a chance. As Sonya starts the boss here,
I would really like to see them contest. 13 is one of the least impactful talent tiers in the game. You have the Web Weavers already coming. I would definitely love to see this. The Tracer's not rotating, though, so I guess they're not going to contest. But I would really like to see a contest here. As, I mean, yeah, sure, the fort's there. You can argue, though. You can play the safe route. It's actually totally fine here as well. With the fort being up still, not really a big deal to take the boss, especially only being 9 minutes in. But I feel like if you want to get back in the game, sure, maybe this is the more safer call, and you're saying, okay, we'll hold on to gems, we'll wait for after this boss, They'll be not 16 after this web weaver phase. We'll turn in. We'll get back in the game. Sure, you could say that, but they've been having a hard time surviving. We had Kilthos die. We had ETC die. I'm not seeing them surviving this web weaver phase is fine. So that's something you have to keep in mind, is that they're kind of banking on surviving this web weaver phase, and you know, you have to keep in
There's
mind
a Rip Tire that's going to knock back Arthas. Excuse me for the interruption, but there's a good cleanse there to try to get Captain Witch out. That was a great cleanse by Soln to keep Captain Witch alive. Tracer, though, on the wrong side of Cocoon. ETC still has not picked a 10, but the enemy team's a bit stacked up. If you're going to do it...
No, he's going to die instead.
He's going to die instead. At that point... Yeah... I gotta say that's playing a little bit too coy there, and it's gonna cost his team. Now Arthas gonna go down. This is 100% a keep down. If anything, it's gonna be lucky to save a core. Afish just squeaking out of there.
That recall was... Whew. So that's the thing, right? We talked about they want to survive. They want to survive until they're able to contest them on even talent tiers with the web weaver phase. Instead, they lost keep, they lost force, they lost 2 members. They're on the core right now, taking it down 70, 60, 50, 40. It's going down, and there's no way to stop
it. Hey, Mosh was picked though.
Oh man, that is going to be it. Again, just being too greedy in their shot calling, not recognizing the situation, not recognizing that getting an even talent tier fight was just not possible, and that they needed to take the fight down 13 on the boss with a bunch of coins, or gems, excuse me, when the enemy team had none. Just not a great situation, but it was the only situation they'd find an even talent tier fight. They chose not to take it, and instead they lose the game right then and there.
Yeah, and I hope Durotan's couch, they have improved in the past. From season 1 to season 2, they improved dramatically. Now we need to see them take that next step. And no qualms about it. When I looked at Division B East, I looked at Game of Thrones and I said, this is a good team. You got a core of the team that's comfortable playing with each other, and then they add a couple wild cards like Zunicorn and Crazy Ivan, who are just fundamentally good players in their own right. But you have that core of a healer and a tank that are comfortable playing together that you can kind of build around. So I think this is a very, very good team. And so we're going to try to get them in for a post-game interview here. So we will be right back with that.
Going on, guys?
Hey guys, congrats on your win.
Hang on, I'm starting the interview just right away. So I still have the stat screen pulled up, and I can flip between stats and talents. But first, as Fire Team said, just a big congratulations to you, Templart and Zolcan, who I'm joined by from Game of Thrones. 2 very dominant victories there. Got the early lead, and were just willing to kind of keep the boot down on the neck of Durotan's couch. What are your thoughts on that win? First off, just right out of the gate.
Temple, let you start.
Sure. Well, I'm glad we were able to get out and put together 2 wins right off the bat. Obviously that was our goal today, and I think I mentioned to you before, Smiley. Yes. Our main focus was putting teams away. Getting an early lead and then finishing the games, and I think we did a good job of that today.
Yeah, and just to kind of bounce off temp a little bit, the macro game is important to us. Taking camps, I think you watched us in both games. Really prioritize camps accordingly with the objectives, and we just did a really good job at maintaining that throughout both games.
Yeah, very aggressive map control on the camps in both games.
I believe he had Gray made both games as well, highly prioritized as well. It's really a really good pick, especially in this meta for that reason. You guys made sure to get it early and really, really get those camps out because of it.
Right, that's a hero we definitely look for, just for the reasons you said.
Yeah, and also your guys' draft on Brax is really strong. What are you guys thinking about your draft? Like, what was your goals of that draft? What were you guys thinking going into it on Braxis?
Well, to be honest, we didn't really expect to get Greymane. We were thinking he'd probably be off the board. So when he fell into our laps, that was a great add-on. And then apart from that, we were happy to secure some wave clear through the Gul'dan.
Yeah, we really heavy focus on wave clear, especially for practice. Gul'dan's a pocket favorite, and we have a couple other ones that we like, but if Gul'dan's there, we're happy to take it.
Sure, yeah.
So I guess one question I want to ask is, this is, I would probably say here, heading into the season right now, and you can disagree with this, I think this is a time where the meta is very uncertain for a lot of teams as to where it is. We've had a big support nerf. Well, I don't want to say a huge one, but it was a meaningful support nerf. We had very big gameplay changes in lane and with the structures. How do you guys feel about your current approach to the meta? I'm not asking you to reveal like scrim results or anything, but just do you feel comfortable with what you want to do in regards to the meta, and did that at all help you out tonight?
Yeah, obviously there's some huge changes, like you said. The biggest being the gameplay update and the differences to buildings, camps, timers, everything like that. And you can see some heroes going up and down based on that. A lot of it's the camps, a lot of it's people who can take camps, and getting that stuff under control is really huge in this meta. So that's definitely a focus. Am I forgetting anything, Zulkin?
If you watched us last season, we were a heavy double support team, and I think that was a big change for us. We felt it in our practices that we really needed to make a move, and I think over the past couple of months that we've been working together, it's something that we're just constantly working to get better at, really changing our old play style to adapt to some of these new changes. And I think it showed a little bit. I think we've still got a lot to work on, a lot to improve on, but I think everyone does. It's still new. It's still really new.
Have you guys scrimmed a lot on the or played Team League or whatever you guys choose as your practice tool on the new patch?
We've done a combination of both scrims and Team League and whatnot, obviously. But I think it did take us a little while to get comfortable in the meta and adjust, especially without things like HGC, where you're able to see kind of what the pros think.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing for our team as well. Personally, not having that, just nice backbone. So we're just kind of scrimming and like, wow, that didn't work. Okay, let's try something else.
I think it's a really fun stage right now. I mean, everyone's kind of feeling out what works for them. It's nothing's been proven, nothing's been shown, which is kind of fun in a sense. We tried Junkrat that game. If we never see Junkrat again in HGC, does that work specifically for us for a reason? Oh, we'll find out.
Yeah,
sure.
We just go. Well, So all right, now let's take a step back because I've had the opportunity to cast. I believe most of. I think I've casted all of you guys except Unicorn. I can't remember if I had a chance to cast Regen last season while Rag was on. But so I'm familiar with you guys. I know you guys are talented. I know you guys are individually. A lot of you are like top tier division. In my opinion. Do you see yourself as like this is our division to win in terms of the B East division, or are you trying to kind of stay humble?
A big focus for us right now is taking it one game at a time. We obviously like to compete, like to be at the top of the division, but we need to just stay focused and treat every game like it's high priority focus of that week. So.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stay humble here. I want to see what other talents out there for sure. And again, kind of piggybacking off the last point we made, like it's still so soon to tell with no research really out there.
Right.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a heck of a lot. This is week one. I think most teams come out raring to go because they haven't really done too much other than probably Team League and scrims, so they're hungry. So we'll see how things mellow out, and as we see more and more trends going, I'm sure we'll try to adapt to it.
Well, while you are taking it, go ahead. Well, while you are taking it one game at a time, let me just ask you: is there any team in Division B East that has particularly caught your eye that you know, are convinced could be like maybe a rival to that, or are you just still one game at a time, Nick Saban style?
Well, I think if we had to pick one, I think we're scrimming them on Thursday, or I think we're playing them on Thursday.
That would be OSD. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they are a good team. They runner-up in Division B last season, so that'll be a great game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to cast it, but someone I'm sure will. So look out for that. NexusGamingSeries.com. Any last questions from you guys, or any last questions, I should say, from Fireteam first?
No, nothing.
All right. Any shout-outs for you guys?
Just shout out to the team. Glad we came out and put out a good effort today. Shout out to our coaches. Shout out to everybody out there supporting us.
Big shout out to my cat Geppetto. He hung in there through the whole 2 games. He was a champ.
Well, congrats on the win, guys. Best of luck this season. Fireteam, thank you for co-casting with me here to kick off Nexus Gaming Series Season 3. This was the first game of Season 3, and there's going to be, only like 300.
Yeah.
It's
a lot.
about 294, I think. So I overestimated it a little bit. So 293 to go. We hope you stick with it. Fireteam, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Fireteam Hots on Twitter, or you can just watch me on hopefully the HC Open streams whenever those start. I don't know when Open starts because they don't even know when Open starts. But whenever that does, you'll see me around there, or in Master Hero League, whatever you prefer.
All right, and I'm DB Smiley. You can find me obviously at this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/dbsmiley. I write about HGC stuffs at twitter.com/deathbysmiley, because DB Smiley is an old lady who tweeted once, but she really likes CSI. So I think we can all enjoy that. But with that, we will see you. I'm actually going to be back here in an hour and a half for Roll One Esports, a veteran team under a new name, taking on Lurk Patrol, which is actually returning from a 1-season hiatus from Nexus Gaming Series. So they're back. It's going to be the second game of the night. There'll also be another game at 10 o'clock at twitch.tv/Bahamut Gaming. I can't remember which 2 teams are involved in that, but you can check out the schedule at nexusgamingseries.com. Just go up to divisions, go to Division B East, and the game should be on the schedule there. With that, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all in an hour and a half, but if not, we'll see you next time on the Nexus Gaming Series. Take care, everyone.
See you around.